Alright, I'm going to try to do this video in one go. The reason I think manga does better than comics in the comics market as a whole, is because manga has a different entire system than comics does. The risk to reward ratio of making a manga and striking it big with an anime and getting it out to the mainstream is it's exponentially higher than it is for comics at a faster rate in manga, that comics just doesn't even compare on that level. Comics tends to give the creators success over time if they keep at it, or if they if they develop a strong enough fan base. But manga, it develops that because of the rate of the output of the creation. It's able to develop that fan base within a few years because they put out so much of the content. They put it out so quickly that it can develop a fan base, or not develop a fan base so quickly that they can cancel you, get you out of there, so that you can come back with a new pitch or something better than you did before, and just get rid of whatever is not working, so that other people who have a better idea or a better, more popular story can shine. So manga is really quick to get rid of what doesn't work and then put in what does work. Comics is a lot slower in that regard. We've been doing a lot of stuff that doesn't work for many years, but people will still continue to do it because we're slow to change, and there's not much reward for changing on the fly or changing very quickly. And I mean, the only thing that I can see as a comparable comparison for the manga and anime industry is Hollywood in America, where everything is run on a tight ship. It's a machine. It's something that works like a well-oiled machine, and it's like you have to be a good actor, or you have to be in the right companies or what have you, and there's a lot of money invested into making the right products or the right movies, and striking it big with the mainstream. It's not the case as much in the comics industry, even though Hollywood uses a lot of comics as, I guess, a breeding ground, or as a proving ground for ideas to garner a fan base on a smaller scale before they bring it up to the Hollywood scene. And those comics ideas, they have to be tested in, like, it's not 4 to 5 years or even 6 years like it would be for a popular manga. It's like 10 to 15 years. Just look at Lackadaisy Cats. That's not really a Hollywood production, but look at Invincible or The Walking Dead. Those had a time span. They were comics for many years before they even became an animation or a movie or a TV show. Comics like that, they have to be proven as a comic book first before Hollywood decides, okay, this is a popular enough idea to go mainstream and make it into other things. And for comics, really the hope is that we can, like, get into, like, maybe a video game at some point, or have our stuff translated into different mediums. But if you're doing self-publish, it's going to be something you do on your own. I would say for manga, the incentive is there to create the best work, put it out there, and get it made into an anime and that kind of thing. And the whole system is designed to support the artist, support the creator in making their work as high quality as possible on as short a time frame as humanly possible. And this is the complete difference between the mindset of the Japanese manga creator versus the American comic book creator. The Japanese are willing to put their life on the line for their comics. They're willing to sacrifice their health, their life, their family. They're willing to sacrifice anything in order to make the comics thing work. And the reward is so exponentially higher in manga than it is in comics, in terms of what you get if you actually succeed with with your manga, you can be set for life with your manga if you are able to sacrifice those years, your younger years, to create a work that connects with a large audience. If you're able to do that for long enough and actually put your work out there and get an anime, get a video game, strike it big and get known worldwide, then you're basically set for life. But a lot of these artists in Japan will like sacrifice their life to the point where they actually end up passing away, and that's not what we're willing to do in America. Like it's about as simple as that. In America, we more want to have a work-life balance. Like in Japan, having a work-life balance is like, what are you, a weakling? Like, what are you, a fucking pussy? Like, you want work-life balance? Like, you, that's just a joke. It's a joke to them. They sacrifice everything, like, to put their work out there. And in American comics, because you have that more like work-life balance, you're able to make you can create something that's on the level of even the most popular manga, but the time span for that to take off and for it to become a big huge mainstream success, if it ever does, is a lot longer than in Japan. And it's not guaranteed whether it will or not, because we just don't have that kind of mechanism, that machine, that system in place to develop a property, develop an IP, and then have it turn into something more. It's very chaotic and like mix match. Like there's no definite guarantee that your thing is going to be the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or I don't know, any other like underground hit that ended up becoming like a lot bigger than it started out as. So there's really no guarantee in comics for that. But what we sacrifice in terms of I guess what we lose in terms of the potential upside of comics, we gain in just being able to hang out with our friends, or visit our family once in a while and whatnot. In Japanese comics, it's a lot harder to do that unless you have a lot of assistants around you that can help you with the creation of the manga, and you can pay them. Like, you'd be able to pay them with what they with the wages that you'll get in creating manga at a certain point, because if your manga is popular enough, you'll be able to pay assistants and have them help out with all that kind of thing. But there's just so much more upside and incentive for manga creators to do well, that's why the manga industry does so much more numbers than the comic industry. The comic industry just doesn't have that infrastructure in place. It used to have something there, but it's not being well run these days. It's not really well managed, and there's not a specific business practice that all comic companies are using to actually make things like bigger than they are. So it's just not as well managed as the Japanese industry. And most of this information has been something I've been able to intuit over years of reading articles about different manga artists. Like, either their health is failing, or they're suffering, or they got canceled, something, or like their manga got canceled, or they have just been putting out the work to try to develop it into something more. I've been reading about this stuff over years and years just to try to understand it, and then it was confirmed in this interview with Felix. No, his name is not Felix. Felipe Smith with Cartoonist Kayfabe. They were able to discuss exactly what he went through when he went over to the Japanese manga industry, and actually how he got his stuff published. He got 3 volumes, I think he said, of Pipochu, his comic, published over in Japan. And that was, he said he said himself that he didn't think that was very impressive, but his editor had to reassure him that most people who do try to get into the industry don't even make it past one volume. So he was very lucky to actually try that. And every once in a while, you'll have those weirdos, those anomalies that will go out to Japan to really see what it's actually like to create manga over there, because they just want to know. They just want to know, like, they want to have that creative freedom that they don't have in America. They don't want to draw for DC or Marvel. They want to find an audience for their books. And Japan actually has that readership, as I found out in that interview. There's readership for pretty much anything, and that's because people can find a super niche. They can really niche down to stuff that people really care about, and then develop a fan base out of that, because the readership is so high in Japan. They're trained on a sophistication and level of storytelling from a young age in comics that they just get used to over and over, like throughout time, that they go from reading shonen or like kids manga to adult manga to manga that just fits their specific taste. It could be about literally anything. Golf. It could be like about making erasers or whatever. It could be manga about anything. And manga in Japan, it has the ability and the potential to create new fans of different things, like of different sports. Like I got into the game of Go because of this manga called Hikaru no Go. It was just it made it seem so fun and exciting to play the game that I actually got into it just because of that. The creator of Slam Dunk, he created 1 million new basketball players just because they were inspired by the basketball manga that he created. Takehiko Inoue, the creator of Slam Dunk. And then the Blue Lock, the soccer manga. If you saw the World Cup, was it this year or last year? Japan made it further than they've ever made it before because of the Blue Lock manga just circulating at the time. The anime was circulating at the time, and people were correlating one to the other, and people were like, oh wow, they're getting really hyped up off the manga. Like, the power of manga is so strong in Japan, and the culture really respects the creators of the manga, and there's so much respect around and prestige around the creation of manga that it's far and away different from what we have in the States. In the States, we used to be able to get on TV as comic creators. If our comic did good enough numbers, we used to be able to get on TV or get cartoons made. And it still happens here and there nowadays, but because the media landscape has changed so much to where TV is not as important as YouTube, like the attention around comics has diffused somewhat to where different media outlets aren't as highly regarded as what we once had before. So it's a different ball game in both industries. So whenever we're talking about comics versus manga and why manga beats comics hand over fist, this is my reasoning behind it. Is just that it's a completely different system over there. Not every comic, or not even the most popular comics, have an anime coming out or even a live action adaptation coming out. But over in Japan, there's the initial hype of the manga itself. Then there's that background excitement of, oh, if my favorite manga gets popular enough, it can get an anime. And we just don't have that in comics. If their favorite manga gets popular enough, it gets an anime, and then if it gets an anime, it could be popular enough to get a video game or be featured in video games. The only comics that we have like that in America are just the regular DC comics, the regular Marvel comics. Those are the ones with the highest chance of getting into video games. But the second highest would be Image Comics or Dark Horse Comics. And the only Dark Horse comics that I've seen get a video game made out of it is Hellboy at the moment. And then Image Comics, you'll have like Spawn show up every once in a while. You'll have like Invincible. I think it's in Fortnite now, and in Mortal Kombat. So it's very hard for those situations to arise, but you have to put in the work like pretty much anyone else. And if you can put out your stuff consistently enough and have a fan base, you don't even have to have a huge mainstream success on your hands. All you have to do is find that fan base. This part is for the creators. If you're looking for a fan base, you just have to niche down, do what you actually like to do. Find those people online to market your stuff to, show them your stuff, and then you gather that core fan base based off of what you're creating. And you can make a living, because it's not really about trying to hit that huge mainstream explosion success like Dragon Ball Z or One Piece. Those are complete anomalies that is very difficult to do even in Japan. But if you try to do that, replicate that success over in America, we just don't have the system, we don't have the infrastructure for it. It's very difficult to replicate. But the way to find a similar success, or really you just want to be able to make the kind of work that you want to make and live the kind of life that you want to live. Because in Japan, it looks like, oh wow, they make millions and millions of dollars, they must be super happy and successful. Some of them have health problems that are so bad that they can't really enjoy life. Like their back is so messed up that they can barely sit. They may have all this money, but they really aren't able to enjoy life if they didn't take care of themselves while they were creating. There's a reason why Makoto Yukimura, the creator of
Vinland Saga,
is the only one out of Takehiko Inoue, out of the big three of the seinen manga, and Kentaro Miura, who's actually still going. And I think it's because he actually takes care of his health. Like he probably is the only one getting like proper sleep, and has assistance and that kind of thing, and isn't like killing himself over the drawing board. And you also got to sit correctly when you're drawing, so you don't like give yourself those health problems. So in Japan, they may have that type of money that comes with mainstream success, but sometimes their life just isn't as glamorous as you would think it would be. Whereas in America, you have the possibility of living that life if you find your niche, you find your people who would actually like your book. There's so many books out there that are actually making a lot of money that you just never hear of, or you never you don't even know about them, because they're so targeted to who they're trying to reach that it just never even reaches your ears. Like there's books that I know of that I've seen that I'm just like, wow, there was a fan base for that. Like there's manga like that, there's comic books like that, and 99% of the manga that's made over in Japan doesn't even come over here. Most of it is too niche, too specific to Japan to even like make it over here. So Japan has the readership. America, you have to find that readership online, but you can still make a comparable success. You can still make a living from it, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the goal, is to make a living from your own work, and not to you don't have to make it a big success. If that comes, that's fine, but your main goal is to make a living off the work that you're doing, so that you can continue to do more in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the topic of manga versus comics. I think it's not just that they're making better stories, quote unquote better stories. I think it's just that that there's a system in place to really hype up the manga, to get people excited for it. There's a whole system in place for that. Whereas in comics, it's just not quite there. We just don't have that infrastructure yet. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.